In Kansas, too many children still struggle to read at grade level. But the story isn't just about struggling students. It's about the systems, the programs, and the leaders shaping how reading is taught. I'm Jessica Glover, and this is My Child Can't Read, a Heartland Crisis, a documentary-style podcast about how students are left behind and what can be done to help them. In this season, called The Anatomy of Change, we take a look inside teacher preparation programs, classrooms, and among state-level leaders directing the future of literacy in Kansas. We talk with educators, parents, and experts about what works, from evidence-based curriculum and teacher training to coaching and assessment. You'll hear stories of students who found their footing when instruction finally matched the science of reading, and the systemic barriers that still hold too many kids back. Change isn't easy, and it doesn't happen overnight, but it is happening in Kansas and across the nation. And in this season, we'll show you how, why, and who is leading the charge. This is a story about systems, science, and people refusing to accept failure as the status quo. Because all our kids deserve to read, understand, and thrive right here in the Heartland. What if I told you a state once ranked near the bottom in reading scores is now number 9 in the nation, and the movement toward better literacy is still happening every day? That's not a miracle. It's living, ongoing work. Mississippi is showing us how, through policy, targeted training, coaching, assessment, and relentless alignment.
We are currently in Kansas at about 30% of our kids proficient. So we've got a lot of ground to make up, and we all talk about the Mississippi miracle, how they went from being the second to the last state in the country on 4th grade NAEP scores to 22nd in 2022. So huge gains there. And this is with kids who are low income, high poverty kids. We tend to think that, they struggle more, and they do, but look at the results that Mississippi had. Alabama is replicating that. So we know that if we train teachers properly in the science of reading, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, comprehension, if we do what we know works, we'll get those same results in Kansas. And so we've got to look at the research, we've got to learn and do the things that we know are working elsewhere.
Senator Renee Erickson is right. Mississippi's story isn't one of luck. It's one of leadership, training, and trust in the science of reading. Now, according to the 2024 NAEP data, Mississippi is ranked number 9 nationally in 4th grade reading and leads the country in gains over the last decade. That shift is not complete, but it's a powerful signal of what's possible. Today, we'll unpack what Mississippi is doing, what's working, what's still in progress, and what Kansas can learn, borrow, and build. The Mississippi Model. Back in 2013, only 28% of Mississippi's 4th graders were reading proficiently. Today, more than 77% of 3rd graders passed the state reading assessment on their first attempt. And the state now ranks number 9 nationally according to the 2024 NAEP 4th grade reading scores. And yet, as Mississippi Department of Education leaders remind us, the work is ongoing. So how did they do it? To answer that, we're turning to a few people who have been there from the very beginning. Kelly Butler served as the Chief Executive Officer of the Barksdale Reading Institute, the organization that partnered with the state to transform teacher training and literacy policy. Today, she continues that work as a senior policy fellow, helping other states learn from Mississippi's journey. And while many now call it the Mississippi miracle, Kelly is quick to correct that. She says it's really been a marathon.
So here is a nutshell of what we did, and this is a suite of policies that began in 2005 and goes all the way to 2016 when we passed the law that required colleges of ed to administer a reading test to their graduates before they could be certified. I'm going to march you through these. The first one is a licensure requirement that Barksdale appealed to the state board to implement to increase what we were doing in teacher preparation programs. The second one is Common Core Standards in 2010. Early Learning Collaboratives, this was a pre-K effort that happened in 2013. Shortly after that, the Literacy-Based Promotion Act, which was the big law, the third grade law that is really the light switch in some ways, and then the Foundations of Reading Assessment. So for those states that are attempting to replicate what we did, I think it's important to look at the sequence in which we did things. They weren't all strategic, but they turned out to have worked really well. And so you don't need to do trial and error. You can learn from us.
What Kelly just described wasn't one silver bullet. And the backbone of that change? Teacher preparation and professional learning.
My name is Kay Peterson. I live in Dallas, Texas. I am the director of a training course in Dallas, Literacy, Education, and Academic Development, Inc. But I also, since 2004, have been training teachers in a dyslexia therapy master's degree at Mississippi College in Clinton, Mississippi.
From her perspective, Mississippi's leap from 49th to 9th in 4th grade reading wasn't magic. It was decades of focused teacher preparation and policy aligned with structured literacy.
It began happening when another instructor began traveling with me to Mississippi for this graduate program, and our program was established in 2004. In the next few years, 2 more graduate courses were established at 2 other universities in Mississippi, and all of us were using an alphabetic phonics-based instruction, which is based on the Orton-Gillingham methods and principles of instruction. The other thing that I think changed, there are many other things, but one of the other things is that in 2012, there was new legislation adopted in Mississippi providing teacher support to be trained in the structure of the language, not necessarily at the therapy level, but the basics of the structure of the language, because previously they were only teaching whole language instruction for reading.
This combination of university-based training and legislation set the stage for Mississippi's literacy turnaround, giving teachers both the knowledge and support to teach all students effectively.
So the teachers that were coming to us for this Master of Education degree in dyslexia therapy were primarily from public schools in Mississippi, but we also had teachers from contiguous states. We had some private school teachers, and we almost always have a parent or two who's been looking for an answer for their child and can't find an answer for reading. And they all told us primarily the same thing, that they were taught in school and they were now teaching in schools whole language to teach children how to read, which is primarily 70 to 80% of children will learn to read using whole language because their biological clock turns and they've learned sounds and they put them together and they can read. But what we know is the rest of the population need direct instruction in the structure of language. And so these teachers were surprised to find that there was a direct way to teach these children how to read, write, and spell.
Teachers were discovering a better way, a way that would reach the 20 to 30% of students who otherwise wouldn't learn to read without structured, direct instruction.
This was the first time that teachers were providing instruction in the structure of language. The state provided free of charge about 3 different structure of language courses that they provided for the public school teachers. And this was part of the legislation in 2012. I know that there were 3 different main reading courses aimed at public school teachers in general ed classes, provide more of the structure of language than they had had before.
free structured literacy courses for teachers. The state made sure no one was left behind. Every K-3 teacher could access training to meet students' needs.
Well, one thing I think, Jessica, we need to think about is that Mississippi is a small state. Secondly, we need to recognize that we now have 3 universities teaching the structure of the language in a Master's of Education class. So there are more teachers receiving this information. The state legislation from 2012 made a difference. The other thing that made a difference is that Mississippi Department of Education established a 3rd grade reading assessment that students need to pass before they go on to the 4th grade.
And 3rd grade is a very pivotal time when it comes to the structure of literacy for students in their own brain development.
Leadership aligned with assessment ensures that teacher training translates into measurable student outcomes. Coaches and administrators monitor progress, making sure instruction is effective and timely.
Well, from my conversations with individuals in the Mississippi Department of Education, they shared with me is that they have a Mississippi support services team for all students that are not reading on grade level. And what they have confirmed for me and said over and over again, that all students, no matter their ethnicity, were provided with the intervention that they needed. And that the Department of Education worked closely with the Special Education Department and the Mississippi Office of Improvement to make sure that those students were provided with the intervention that they needed. So it was a whole team approach that I guess sometimes doesn't happen within a state Department of Education, but they were determined in Mississippi that they were going to make a difference for these students.
Structured literacy isn't just about raising scores. It's about reaching every student, regardless of background. Equity was built into every intervention, every support system, and every coaching session. And that's what the Mississippi model looks like today. Statewide professional learning. Every kindergarten to 3rd grade teacher, administrator, and instructional staff receives state-funded science of reading training. They begin with letters, now use AIM pathways, creating a common literacy language from north to south, east to west. And every teacher who asks for science of reading training receives it. They have a "we don't say no" policy. Intensive coaching support. Literacy coaches embed in classrooms. They model lessons, co-teach, and mentor teachers. Their philosophy: we coach people up, not out. Any district that asks for support receives it. Strategic assessment and early intervention. Every kinder to 3rd grade student is screened 3 times a year, 12 times by 3rd grade. Districts are reimbursed. Teachers learn to use data as a growth tool, not a punitive measure. University partnerships and pre-service prep. 14 universities collaborate with the state so new teachers enter classrooms ready to teach reading with structured literacy foundations. Professors also receive ongoing training.
Mississippi's story proves that change is possible. They didn't just tweak curriculum or offer a workshop here or there. They built a system that supported teachers, held schools accountable, and never wavered from the science of reading. That's why it worked.
Mississippi also drew a clear line: no mashup of balanced literacy and structured literacy. Every policy, coaching session, and curriculum decision reinforces structured literacy fidelity.
And so there has to be some understanding of dropping the balanced literacy practices, but we have to make sure we can recognize those things that are not working before we can fully implement all of the things that are working. And so we have to be careful about that mashup. You can't do a little or sprinkle a little balanced literacy within structured literacy and say that you're a structured literacy state. You have to say you're a structured literacy state and stick with those practices and approaches that we know work, that are grounded in the science.
If you're a parent, teacher, or policymaker, note this. Mississippi shows that sustained effort, layered support, and alignment matter more than any one program or quote-unquote miracle. Follow the leaders. Mississippi's story shows what's possible with aligned policy, professional learning, and coaching. And while the journey isn't over, it provides a model that other states, including Kansas, can follow.
Most schools of education are still teaching how to read using a whole language, and that's not inappropriate for those who can learn that way. But think of all the students that can't learn that way. And so they need a different way, and that different way is an Orton Gillingham-based course that teaches the structure of the language and how to teach a child how to read, write, and spell.
Kay is right. Teacher preparation is the foundation, and leadership, alignment, and policy matter too. Other states are taking cues from Mississippi and showing what's possible when you combine those elements with focused professional learning. Let's take a look. Ohio. Early literacy initiatives target low-income students, ensuring every child has access to evidence-aligned instruction. Atlanta, Georgia. Principals are prioritizing literacy alongside school safety, creating cultures where reading instruction is non-negotiable. Tennessee passed the Literacy Success Act in 2021, mandating foundational literacy training and structured literacy curricula. North Carolina allocated $50 million for teacher training in the science of reading. Colorado now requires all kindergarten to third grade teachers to complete evidence-based reading instruction training.
There's no magic solution. There's no silver bullet. And we have really taken it upon ourselves to create a really lengthy timeline because we want to show that our efforts began in 2013 after the policy was passed. I mean, you have to have the policy, but we all know you have to have legs to the policy, right? So in 2013, when the policy passed, we can say that there are 3 big buckets that policy set up for us for success. And those big buckets, I'm sure that we'll talk about more, but professional learning is the first one. The second one is coaching. And then the third is a specific suite of assessments, like how are we assessing our children and what are we doing? So in 2013, that was all set up for us, but we didn't have a staff. We didn't even have an office. We didn't have a division of literacy at the department. And so when Kelly said we were building the plane as we were flying it, I mean, I was hired in 2013 when the policy was passed, and we didn't have the people to put the legs to the policy until the year after. And so that began the snowball of the initiative. And it is offensive to call it a myth or a miracle. And I do say that with love in my heart, right. But it is a long race. I mean, we call it the Mississippi Marathon at the department because we feel like if you know anything about running, you can't get out there and do a half marathon with no training. We're still in the midst of the marathon. We have not made it to the finish line. And so the timeline that I speak about is just being able to show other states, this is year 1, this is year 2, this is year 3. I mean, we have built so many things out as the years have progressed and as our staff has progressed. It didn't happen overnight.
These states share a few critical ingredients: statewide alignment, ongoing training and coaching, and curricula rooted in structured literacy. Mississippi serves as the benchmark, a model still evolving, improving, and proving that change is possible when all the pieces are in place.
I mean, data talks, right? So we know that results definitely, that speaks a strong message. But yes, leadership. And that strong leadership cannot just be a school manager. To be a principal, you have to be an instructional leader, and you have to have this knowledge about how to teach children how to read. And so, yes, the data, because results matter. But in looking at schools who are receiving accolades of their success, you can pinpoint the leadership and the decisions that they're making to make sure that all children have exactly what they need to be successful. Knowledgeable teachers, great materials, and it all has to be aligned to the research.
What Kansas can do. Mississippi shows what's possible when policy, teacher training, and coaching align. Kansas is taking its first steps. House Bill 2322 encourages science of reading aligned instructional materials. But we're not yet seeing a layered statewide system like Mississippi's, one that supports every teacher, every school, and every child. Here's what a Mississippi-inspired blueprint could look like in Kansas. Fund statewide literacy coaching networks with regional coordinators and on-site school coaches. Require structured literacy training in every teacher prep program. Audit curricula for alignment with evidence-based reading instruction. Train teachers to use assessment data to drive growth. Make policy supportive, not punitive. One of the most critical components of Mississippi's success has been classroom coaching, a system that goes beyond policy and training to actively support teachers as they implement evidence-based reading instruction. Katie Williamson, Assistant Director of Mississippi Literacy Initiatives, explains how the state approaches coaching as a partnership rather than an evaluation, ensuring teachers and everyone involved in literacy feel supported, equipped, and empowered.
First and foremost, we go in as a non-evaluative force. So we want to go in as a support. And that's our biggest thing there, is that we ensure that we are providing support not only to teachers, but anyone that has anything that correlates to children and literacy efforts. So with that, we want to make sure that we go in and that we model best practices and we support all of the best practices that we know that can positively impact children and their ability to read. The coaching model that we follow is huge, and I think that's a huge piece of importance as far as why this initiative works the way it does as it relates to coaching in the classroom in the schools. We want to build those relationships, and we want to make sure that teachers are supported and they are provided with all of the means necessary in order to be the best that they can be for children as they teach best practices and teach children to read.
Kansas has started to move in the right direction, but what we need now is bold, coordinated leadership, the kind that brings together policymakers, educators, parents, and the business community around one shared goal: literacy for all.
Where I've seen real change happen is when someone looks in the mirror, whether it's a teacher, administrator, someone on a board, sits there and says, okay, what can I do? What part do I control? First and foremost, myself. How do I educate myself? How do I share that with other people? How do I demonstrate what works? And how do I impact the kids that are touching me? When someone lights that internal fire in that way, it usually spreads in the team and culture that they're around.
That's where it begins, ownership. Each of us asking, what part do I own?
There's a business book that was all the rage maybe 5 years ago, Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership. And so it's, what piece of the puzzle do I own? And I think Kansas's problem is it's almost reverse. It's, I don't want to be blamed for this problem. So at the Board of Education level, we've got 286 different districts that are responsible for those policies. And they've got a school board that they answer to, and we've got superintendents, and we've got principals, and we've got teachers. And we're so siloed, we need to be working together as a team. Literacy is truly one of the issues that needs to be bipartisan and needs to outlast administrations. And we know from states that have been really successful is that they have all the stakeholders aligned. Business class, legislators, educators, parents, teachers, everyone working together to solve this problem.
Alana McWilliams is right. When the system is fragmented, our kids pay the price, especially those without the means to pay privately for reading help. Literacy shouldn't depend on a family's zip code or income. Here's what you can do. Districts fund literacy coaches, adopt evidence-aligned curricula, and require structured literacy training for kinder to third grade teachers. Parents, bring your child's test results to their teacher. Ask what curriculum is used and if it's aligned to the science of reading. If you're unsure, schedule a diagnostic with Phillips Fundamental Learning Center so you can walk into that meeting with real data. Teachers, don't wait for legislation to catch up. Phillips Fundamental Learning Center offers science of reading training and coaching that can transform your teaching and your confidence. If you need immediate resources, visit funlearn.org or call Phillips Fundamental Learning Center to learn more about coaching, professional development, and parent workshops. Mississippi shows us what's possible, a living model of continuous system-wide improvement. Kansas can replicate that success if we choose collaboration over silos, courage over comfort, and data-driven action over delay. The cost of inaction. Let's be clear, the cost of not acting is enormous. Kids fall behind, teachers feel unsupported, and entire communities bear the consequences. Left unchecked, the gaps widen, achievement stalls, and future opportunities slip away. But if Mississippi, a state facing high poverty and rural challenges, can rewrite its story, so can Kansas. It won't be easy and it won't be instant, but systematic change is possible if we have the will. The stakes are high. Without bold, coordinated action, children will continue to struggle, missing foundational literacy skills. Teachers will feel isolated and underprepared, trying to meet students' needs without the right training or tools. Communities will bear the economic, social, and emotional cost of widespread reading failure.
Kansas has an opportunity right now to learn from the states that have gone before. But piecemealing approaches won't get us there. We need bold action, grounded in science and sustained by leadership. Otherwise, we risk leaving another generation behind.
Mississippi is still moving forward, showing that a coordinated, evidence-based system works, even when the challenges are real. Kansas can follow that blueprint, but only if all of us act. Parents, teachers, policymakers, and community members.
We call it the Mississippi Marathon at the department because we have not made it to the finish line. And so the timeline that I speak about is just being able to show other states, this is year 1. This is year 2. This is year 3. I mean, we have built so many things out as the years and as our staff has progressed. It didn't happen overnight.
The reading revival isn't just a dream, it's a choice. Change is possible, but only if we refuse to wait, refuse to stay silent, and step into action.
At Phillips Fundamental Learning Center in Wichita, Kansas, we believe every child deserves the power to read, especially those with dyslexia or learning differences. We start with a personalized literacy assessment so parents and students can finally understand how a child learns and what support will truly help. As a nonprofit, PFLC offers more than hope. We offer real solutions: intensive research-based instruction, training for parents and educators, innovative tools like the Sound Case, Fundamental Case, and Grammar Case, designed to strengthen reading, writing, and spelling at home and in classrooms. All of this happens in our state-of-the-art 37,000 square foot facility where students learn, parents heal, and teachers grow. And the impact is real. PFLC has helped hundreds of thousands of children unlock the joy of reading. Families and educators across the country call our programs life-changing. You want to learn more? Visit funlearn.org or call 316-684-7323. Tour our campus, schedule an assessment, or support our mission to change a child's future. Phillips Fundamental Learning Center, where reading begins and hope never ends.
The reading revival can happen here, but it requires all of us to act. Every child deserves the chance to read, understand, and thrive. Stay tuned for our Season 2 bonus episode. When the teacher gets it, literacy is unlocked for everyone. We'll hear from Tammy Coford, director of the Ann Deal Teacher Literacy Institute at Phillips Fundamental Learning Center. Tammy has been working alongside founder Janine Phillips for 29 years, and her structured literacy training continues to transform classrooms across Kansas. When Tammy fully understood the science of reading, everything became clearer for herself as a reader, for her teaching, and for the educators she trains, unlocking literacy instruction for students and teachers alike. Thanks for listening to My Child Can't Read, a Heartland Crisis. If today's episode resonated with you, if you saw yourself, your child, or your classroom in these stories, you're not alone. We believe every child can learn to read, and every parent and teacher deserves the knowledge to help them. I invite you to take action today by subscribing wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss an episode, rate and review to help others find this series, and tell us about your story and discover how the Phillips Fundamental Learning Center is changing lives through literacy at funlearn.org/podcast. That's funlearn.org/podcast. And share this show with a friend, teacher, or fellow parent who needs to hear it. All resources, source credits, and tools mentioned in this episode can be found in the show notes. Remember, together we can rewrite the story, one reader at a time, right here in the Heartland.